So good afternoon, everyone. I am here with the 5th place Dr. Arinsu deck list. I just performed pretty well at the Bandai Fest Dallas Regional. Obviously, people are starting to understand that Arinsu is better than we gave it credit for, but I still think that there's a lot of potential in this deck, and I just want to give a disclaimer at the start that this is not the final list. This is our first regional with the deck, and as much fun as it is, there's some little things here and there that I'm going to be tweaking, and we'll see how this performs in the future. We also have a promo coming in October that might change things. I don't think it's going to make a big difference, but we can talk about that when it comes out. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the list. So first we have, of course, Bulma. This card, top 5 searches for 90% of your list, and of course, even more fun, it's a counterattack. And even more fun than that, on your leader's backside, this card is free, energy-wise. So, fantastic card, must run as a 4 of. Then we have 2 of the Pansy. I personally was playing the Pansy and Hit Unison, which we'll see later. And that package was okay. I'm not convinced yet if it's worth keeping, but it produced a lot of value when it did stick. Next we have 2 of the Majin Ku and 4 of the Majin Du. These are your revenge fodder. So obviously the Ku is deflect revenge and Du is barrier revenge. Barrier is harder to get rid of, so I favored the Du. We have 4 of the Dr. Arinsu SR. This is the most important card in the deck, I think. This is your must-of on your turn 2. This helps you get awakened. Being a deflect barrier, it's hard to get rid of. And the fact that her active battle lets you restand a 3-drop battle card is really important for putting on the pressure. Next, we have 4 of King Goma. Again, this is probably just as important as the Dr. Arinsu because this helps you recycle your 3-drops, which sets up combos with your leader's backside. And being able to free play a battle card on you and your opponent's turn means you get to generate a lot of swings very early on. Especially if you go second. If you leave your energy up turn 1 and let your opponent swing at you, you can King Goma on their turn 2, your turn 1, set up 2 battle cards, go into your turn 2, and swing a bunch of times. So King Goma, very important. Next, 3 of the Degasu. This one is a deflect blocker that you can play on active battle speed. It combos a card for free and then plays himself. I think this card is a bit underrated, but I also don't think you need more than 3. The free combo is great, and of course generating another swing, so this is a lot of value for 1 energy. It can also be played by the King Goma, so yeah, just great value here. Next we have 4 of the Majin Ku 6-drop and 4 of the Majin Du 6-drop. These are the cards that you get to free play off of your leader's backside, and you need to see these cards, otherwise you don't draw. These cards are your main draw engine. They let you go +1 on your turn and on your opponent's turn if you can bounce a 3-drop, any of these 3-drops back to your hand. So it's important we see these immediately. I personally think the Majin Ku is the better card because it has the active battle to redirect a swing. And I mean, it's just like such an interesting way to provide defense to a deck that's very aggressive. So I think you want to see this more often, but you need 4 of each of them because if you don't see any of them, you just lose the game right away. Next, here's the Hit Unison that we're playing with the Pansy. The reason I picked Hit over the 17-18 Unison, is because the Hit draws a card, and we need our drop to be able to free play and recycle our 3-drops and 6-drops. So I found in testing earlier when trying the 17-18 Unison that I had nothing in drop that I wanted to combo. And if I did combo, my drop would be empty and I wouldn't have anything to play off of, say, the King Bulma skill. or any way of getting a 6-drop on board because I had nothing in drop. And obviously that's more relevant early game, but this is a really aggressive deck, so your turn 3 is like your turn 2 and 3 are very explosive, and your drop is very small at that point. So I found hit to be more useful. Also, a lot of people are terrified about getting their leader flipped over. Although I don't think it's ever worth it, especially in this deck. It's fun to threaten it, and people be like, "Oh no, gotta swing at the unison." So yeah, I felt like this was the better option. We have 2 of the new versus card. I gotta say, this felt a little underpowered. It does have its uses, but it's difficult to set up, especially in a deck where we don't go above 4 energy. And this being a 3 energy play, it's just a lot. You do have the benefit of, if this is the first card you're playing on your opponent's turn, you do untap one. So you technically make this a 2 energy play. But the fact that it's a 4-drop and not, say, a 3-drop means it's more difficult to sequence with your deck. And yeah, it's situational, but I still think it's very important to have. And worst case scenario, it's another 1 energy negate, or 0 if it's your first card played this turn. We are playing 2 of the Gloria Super Combo because it's searchable off of the Bulma and the leader's front side. And then 2 Vegeta Super Combo because this deck doesn't draw too much. So helping you get that extra filter to see more cards is just nice. Then we're playing 3 Broly 8-drops. This card being a 2-mana play at whatever point in the game, that means it's just a big body threat. It also has removal on active main, and most decks are going to have to decide between getting rid of this giant Broly or your 20 battle cards you're fielding because you spam out so much. So this ends up sticking a very long time, and it's a great redirect target for Majin Ku. If you don't care about like KOing the card, say they swing with a Unison or a Leader, you can always just Majin Ku redirect to Broly, and 9 times out of 10 they didn't combo up to 35, so their attack just whiffs. So I really, really like Broly in this. And then, of course, secret rare of choice for me is the Beast Gohan. There is a very strong argument for Hatch instead of Beast Gohan, but I just like winning on turn 3. So this was my choice. It's a lot more fun and proactive, but of course, I think Hatch is probably smarter to play. And we're going on to our extra card package. So 2 Sensu Beans. We do have some active battle tricks that we want to do on our opponent's turn. And if you can set up the turn appropriately, you can King Goma, the Versus card, finish paying for revenge with 1 energy up, Sensu Bean, get down the other King Goma 3-drop, play out another blocker, and the list goes on and on. So Sensu Bean just helps extend those later game turns where you have extra energy on defense. 3-dimension magic. I didn't play 4 because I was trying to keep the list as tight as possible. I honestly don't think I needed more than 3 because, again, I'm trying to end games as soon as I can with Beast Gohan. So 3 felt fine for me. I think if you're playing Hatch or a slightly slower, controlier version of this deck, then 4 is, of course, great. Then 2, Chilled's Army Reinforcement. I'm always terrified of the surprise quad attack like what's it called? Vegito Secret Rare Red, where they can snipe your Bulma negates or your versus card out, and if you get caught with your pants down, it's never great. So token negates just help keep that alive. And also you awaken at 5 life, so token negate is immediately live. And sometimes you want to rip a life to get yourself down to 4 so your super combos are live. And then last, we have the spice that's not so spicy. I added the 2 of Toa Twisted Sister in the hopes of disrupting my opponent's drop, say against Yellow Saiyaman. But honestly, this didn't come up enough to warrant space in the main deck. So that's likely a change that I'm going to make. All right, let's move on to the Z deck. Of course, we're playing 4 of the King Goma Z battle card. This card is disgusting. It's a 20k deflect unique that's reduced to 1 energy, 1 Z, if I have 2 or more Demon Realms already in play. And when it attacks, your opponent bottom decks 1. So this just adds that additional tax to your opponent when you're already swinging like crazy, and you're also forcing them to bottom deck. You'd be surprised at how quickly this deck can put on pressure to the hand size. And 4 of, because like you want to play this almost every turn, and your opponent wants to get rid of it every turn because it's so annoying. So, yeah. 1 of the extra, always great to have. Some turns you just get floodgated out, and this is a nice thing to play when you have nothing better to do. We're playing 2 of the Android 18Z Unison. Again, with King Goma, we have some built-in hand control. So adding this Z Unison on top makes it really brutal. Now you're taxing your opponent 2 cards in hand before even attacking. Well, attacking with this, I guess. But yeah, the idea is you get 2 free rips plus 2 swings, double strike threat. This gets you an energy back at the end of the turn. Like, 18Z Unison is insane. 1 of Deborah Z Unison. I mean, blue traditionally lacks barrier removal, and some games you just need to get rid of a barrier threat. So this helps deal with that. It's also a dual attacker in case you're under Nimbus or something like that, where unison swings are live but everything else is not. So just helps you push through later turns. You have 1 cell just to deal with board removal. Again, Arinsu doesn't have a lot of board clear, so cell can help you wipe the board. Let's say if you're playing against the mirror and they've built a big board, just eat it all with cell. And lastly, Vegeta Surmounting. We do awaken at 5 life exactly. So if you don't see the Arinsu SR from the main deck, you have no other way of self-awakening other than Leader's skill. So if your opponent is trying to be clever and they don't attack you on their turn 1, you could get stuck at 6 life. And Surmounting just helps us get that 1 extra life so we can guaranteed awaken turn 2 every time. So first in the side, we have 2 Koits. I think this card's just really strong in the meta, particularly against Daimaku. All of their defense is battle card negates and the few D magics that they run. So Koitsukai just stops 90% of their defense. We have 2 Gohan Power Reclaimed. Mostly for the Z charge to bottom deck battle card. Again, we're lacking removal, so we just want to keep this on deck to get rid of threats proactively, and especially on defense. The active battle, of course, to play himself to bottom deck something bigger is nice, but that effect never came up for me because it's so energy hungry. Playing 2 Peel Off Shumai. Again, we lack barrier removal, and this in combination with, say, Gohan, means we can get rid of barrier threats 5 or less for 2 energy while maintaining relative hand size. It also can get rid of nasty keywords. Say you're getting swung at with a triple striker, just take off triple, only take 1 damage. And if you really want to be annoying, you can just use this to stun your opponent out of building Z energy early game and kind of control the tempo of the game. Desperate Measures for those decks that you want to hit battle card floodgates, like Riposte is back in the meta with the Saiyan deck, or if you're playing against red and they field Topo, you can hit that. It also has the added benefit of putting back one of your 3-drops. So if you have the King Goma Z battle card, the King Goma regular battle card on board, you can grab it back with Desperate Measures and then use his effect again to play himself, play another guy from your drop. So Desperate Measures is actually really cool. We have 2 Deborah Ritual at hand for green. Our deck already suffers from hand size, so this just helps us not fall behind in that matchups. 1 more Pansy. In the decks that, in the matchups I felt like I wanted to see that Unison more often, Pansy was nice to add the 3rd of just to fix the ratios and see this earlier. Playing 2 Borgos, again for blue, anti-blue. This in combination with Koits against Daimaku just straight up wins. Like, they basically do nothing on the turn you have both of these live. And then 2 Zamasu counter to deal with red, because Vegeta is still a very powerful deck. I was honestly a little scared of droids because they do way too much as well. And this came up pretty strong against both of those decks. Especially now that Vegeta doesn't have the check land, so they're leaning away from black all too much. All right, so that is the deck list as a whole. I'm going to quickly talk about my matchups over the weekend. It was an 8-round tournament. There was 180 players, I believe. So honestly, a very solid turnout. The tournament was sold out. Of course, there were a few no-shows at the beginning, but completely sold out tournament. And the judges and everybody did a fantastic job running it smoothly. I honestly had a great experience. Round 1, I played against Green Nameku, and I lost immediately round 1. My player did a great job of taking advantage of my lack of experience with the deck. I didn't see Arinsu on my turn 2, so I went into an awkward awakening turn with Vegeta surmounting, and I just wasn't able to pick up the pace of the game. So he did a good job making sure I couldn't recover that match. That was my only loss of the day, so you can imagine starting round 1 with a loss and having to pick myself up the rest of the day. It was pretty rough, but we got there. Round 2 was against Blue Daimaku, and we already talked about the side. I sided exactly Koitz and Borgos, and on my turn 1, I just opened Borgos, so I slammed it right away, and they were never able to get rid of the Borgos. So on turn 4, I believe, I resolved Koitsukai, and it was just too much pressure for them to deal with without being able to negate with either D-Magic or their battle cards. Round 3, I played against Yellow Saiyan Man, and it was a very close match. Honestly, I probably should have lost that match. My opponent misplayed a kill swing when I still had a redirect on board, so he dumped hand, and then I just active battle redirected, and oops. So people are still learning this deck, of course. Round 4 was another Saiyan Man, and unfortunately for him, I saw my beast on turn 3, so I obliterated him before he could get anything moving. Round 4, let's see, what did I play against round 4? It was Panzino, and the Panzino matchup is actually pretty difficult. They put on a lot of their own pressure too, and it feels like there's no use in trying to stall their awakening. So we kind of just slugged it out, and I just barely won by like an extra 5k or something like that. Um, round 5, I believe, was Nameku again. And this time I got my revenge on the matchup. I saw Beast Gohan turn 3, and we know how that goes. My opponent unfortunately tapped out, hoping to rely on Dormant to stop their turn, but I get rid of their unison with Beast Gohan, so they were unable to freely stop that turn. Man, I don't remember what round 6 was. Not gonna lie, it was a long day. I do remember round 7 was against Kefla Surge, which is awesome because I played that in the online regional, so I'm very familiar with what the deck does. And I dumped for game on a double strike with the Android 18Z unison, which would have put my opponent to 1 life, and of course I was showing that I had Beast Gohan in hand. And unfortunately, my opponent couldn't combo out of the double strike swing, so they died to the Beast Gohan play right afterwards. Otherwise, it was actually a very close match. He was like 1 turn away from just destroying me. So kudos to the Kefla Surge player. And then the last match was another Panzino, and unfortunately for him, I saw Beast Gohan turn 3, and he tapped out. So I just went for it and won immediately on the turn 3. Overall, I'm actually very happy with my performance. I think this deck has a lot of potential. It's definitely a very aggressive deck, and the sequencing it can be a little tricky because there's some drop and board manipulation required to set up all of your plays. And then you have to make sure you're timing your skills right so you don't walk into counter plays, or if your opponent uses quoits on you, you have to be very careful about what cards you can play. But overall, I think this deck is a meta contender. If you're willing to put the time and effort to learn how this deck works, I think this has a lot more to grow, and there's so many different strategies to explore with this deck. And I'm excited to see what other players come up with. So thanks for having me.